everybody. Welcome to OP Entertainment. I'm Omar Darwish.
And I'm Pratik Cherian.
And for the first time joining us, our very special guest, Jesse Mann.
What's up, y'all?
We brought him in because best friends and resident Michael Jordan Space Jam basketball expert. Both of them really.
All that.
Now, I'm sure they enjoyed this movie more than I did. So I kind of want to throw it. Let's just go this way. Pratik, general thoughts. We're gonna go spoiler free.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Spoiler free. So, generally speaking, I think the important thing to say about this movie is it is a kid's movie. And I think sometimes that's hard, especially for those of us that were alive when the first Space Jam came out. Actually, that's just me, but
Yeah.
I think
I was one. No, but
it's hard. It's important to remember that you can't compare the two of them because one of them has a big nostalgia factor and you grew up with, and this one is for a newer generation. It's a new legacy for a reason. But grading on a kids movie scale, I would say I enjoyed it. There were a lot of parts I laughed at. I thought it did a good job of giving you stuff for kids while still keeping enough jokes for people that are basketball fans and LeBron fans and adults to stay entertained. Jesse, what'd you think?
same here. I'll piggyback off that. Felt almost exactly the same. I did like a lot of the jokes. Other than that, I had a couple little problems with kind of the acting that I saw in it.
Ooh,
It was kind. Now LeBron did a little better than I thought he did, but I thought it was going to be a little better. At the same time,
I thought it was so bad.
No, it was. Yeah, I see on certain parts. But on certain parts, he did good to me. You know what I'm saying?
He did okay in Trainwreck. So I had some excitement going into this, thinking maybe he could act. If John Cena could do it, right? Can do it.
Omar, just let all the hate flow out. Just tell the people how much you hated it.
Let the spice flow. All right,
just go.
Did you even see the next Fast?
No, I did the last one. No, I didn't.
He did.
You wouldn't have seen John Cena anyway, right? Anyway, I didn't hate this movie, right?
Really?
I didn't hate it.
Could have fooled me.
Going into this movie, I just needed it to be funny enough, and it was funny enough. So that's really the only reason I didn't hate it. Let's talk about the acting, shall we?
I feel that.
When Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
Have you seen Hotel Rwanda?
Of course.
Don Cheadle can act. What drugs was he on during this movie? Dude cannot act in this movie. Don Cheadle was almost worse than LeBron. That's number one. Number two, LeBron is the worst human being actor I've ever seen in my life. Ronda Rousey was better in Entourage. Dude, Buddy tried to pretend cry a couple times, and I literally almost laughed. I think I did laugh a couple times.
We're talking to a crazy person.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. Some of those cry parts. He did better jobs in games when he's faking and stuff.
And the story,
for real,
I've seen him act better, and it's called the NBA playoffs.
Right, exactly. But man,
look, there was enough LeBron jokes, and I'm a basketball fan, but not as big. I've kind of fallen off the past few years, and I'm sure there's tons of jokes I missed, but I'd say probably 70% of them. Maybe there's a whole cavalcade of jokes that I just missed. But the comedy was just passable for me enough, even for a kids movie. And I'm not a huge fan of kids movies, especially in the last decade. But even as a kids movie,
basically since the last time you were a kid.
Yeah. Even as a kids movie, though, I just feel like they could have tried a bit harder with this. I hear the complaints on this being a Warner Brothers PR stunt.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But also that didn't really even bother me as much as the acting.
That was kind of the best part.
The kid was the best. You know who was the best actor in this? And I wanted them to keep it like this. LeBron as a kid in the beginning of the movie. The kid actor who played the kid LeBron, he was better than LeBron.
That was for
2 seconds.
Oh god.
And when that happened, I was like, oh, this is actually not going to be bad. This is actually going to be a decently directed movie.
It did start pretty decent.
And then LeBron started talking. And I'm like, listen, I'm not ready to jump.
You know what?
ship on
I'm cutting you off right here.
Go ahead.
I disagree with you completely. Was the acting great? Not necessarily. Was it as bad as you're making it out to be? Absolutely not. I thought definitely there's some scenes that are stronger than others, but I would say as a whole, am I going to knock LeBron's acting in this? Absolutely not. Now we're not nominating for an Oscar, but he's not. It's not enough to take me out of the movie.
I'll agree with you in the beginning because they never let his scenes go too long, where he has to carry a scene for too long. But towards the end, that third act is feels like 3 hours.
But
As soon as they build the basketball court-
you're blaming his acting for a pacing issue, which is
No.
just not fair.
I'm saying his acting is serviceable to the movie when he's used in small amounts of time. When you extend the act to so long that LeBron has to now carry this, he's the only real person there other than Don Cheadle, right? When Michael Jordan is a better actor than you, that's got to be an issue, right? That's got to be an issue. Come on.
I don't know if it's that he's necessarily a better actor. He was in the first Space Jam. Now that we've seen it and seen this one, but I feel like he tied in well, so he's gonna have other movies with this company because
sure.
you know what I'm
Well,
saying.
yeah,
So
he
he'll
owns
get better, and eventually they'll forget about how bad this performance was.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't as bad as I think you're saying,
Maybe.
but
I wasn't expecting it to be great.
Right.
And it still
I
was
feel
like,
that.
man, like I've seen him in commercials
Right.
do better than this. So
With
Yeah.
all due respect, though, I watched the first Space Jam right before going to watch this, just because I wanted to get myself prepared. Are we sure Jordan was? I think they're in the same league. It's kind of where I'm
There
going
were
at. They're in
scenes-
the same category. There's definitely scenes in that first one where it's like, okay, come on, Mike. Especially the scenes where like we know who Michael Jordan was, and it's like,
Right.
all right, like come on, this is not.
I'm not
flying
trying to
here.
make it sound like an easy thing to act on a green screen with characters that aren't there. But you know what though? We're grading it on a kids movie score.
Yeah.
And if I had kids, I'd take them to this, and I think they'd
totally.
probably enjoy it. There were a ton of kids in the audience that were going crazy for this. So I think that overall, I as a kids movie, and probably if I was a kid watching it, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. But I just think maybe I missed the boat on this one.
I can totally see
That's
that.
kind of how I feel. But
Jesse, you said generally you liked it.
Yeah.
Anything you didn't like or that really didn't work for you?
LeBron's acting wasn't like so terrible where I'm just like, oh my God, I can't deal. No, it was pretty solid. It just, he's first time, not first, train wreck,
Right.
but as
Leading.
his own
It's the first
film,
time leading a
he's
film, though.
leading.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
it was pretty solid. I didn't like how they chopped up some of when he would speak and stuff. Like they're supposed to kind of hide that a little better.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? I kind of feel like they dropped the ball on that.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Do we want to do anything that you want to say spoilery? Just a quick little spoiler.
I
thing?
don't think so, because I think if we're gonna say something that spoils the movie, like I don't know, I'm not a fan. I will say this though, so the Michael Jordan references, because I know that for you had said that you wanted them to like refer to it or mention it. Was that enough for you?
Mine
Yeah,
was spoiled.
I mean,
Without going into detail about like what the references are, did they do enough to like satisfy that part of you?
just a little bit. The intro. Oh damn! See, I got it. I'm sorry.
We're professionals
time on
here.
the pod.
Right. First time pod, but yeah, kind of, sort of. Unfortunately, me and Omar were talking about this yesterday. Don Cheadle kind of said some things prior, and we thought it was funny because
of what had ended up happening.
Yeah.
with remember
What? No, I don't.
remember the reverse. You were like, that's ironic because the Hulk. Remember?
I don't, but I don't want to spoil it.
No, it's not. Come on.
It's ironic because Don Cheadle was trying to stop Mark Ruffalo from spoiling Infinity
yeah.
War a couple
And then-
years
there we
ago,
go.
and now Don Cheadle's just spoiling things left and right.
Yeah.
Clearly showing that he's checked out of
This isn't
Yeah.
a Marvel project. I
Yeah.
can say whatever I want.
Right.
It's
But-
not like Warner
But
Brothers
you know
has
what?
snipers.
So exactly though, it does feel like Don Cheadle really didn't. He looked like he was having fun out there.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
if that's all that we can expect from this, then yeah, they succeeded. But I just feel like with a name like Space Jam, like you've got a lot to live up to. I feel like
See, but that's the
They
other
did
thing.
visually.
That's the other thing is it has a lot to live up to for those of us who have that like love for it as a nostalgia
But
piece.
who else are they making this movie for though? New NBA fans?
I mean, I think that the audience for this is clearly kids and LeBron fans. I don't know that they're making this for like the late 20s, early 30s people necessarily. And I think that if that's if they were trying to make it for us, they failed. But
Right.
There was a reference. I don't want to spoil. There's a reference that Bugs Bunny does that I would argue otherwise that this was not made for that demographic. Do you know
But-
what I'm talking
Oh,
But
I mean,
that's-
they plugged a lot.
No, but
But that's also
like
very,
your
like,
dad
that's-
will understand this reference.
that's
and no
very
kids in the
like
audience
Looney
will.
Tunes,
Okay.
and that's very
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
again when you're telling like pop culture jokes and you're throwing things out there, like you're not doing every reference.
They're
for
doing
the
something
kids.
for the parents. I just feel like it wasn't
Yeah.
enough. Like at least for me.
Again, because that's not the target audience. Like
Well, parents, but I just hate that excuse because Pixar can make movies that are for kids and for adults. Why can't everybody? You know,
because Pixar tells emotional stories. Like they hit at emotions that
this. So you're telling me this story of a father who is trying to make his kid more like him and not who he wants to be isn't an emotional story?
And that's
it should have been.
That's probably the part
that, you know?
That's probably the part that works the best, honestly.
Works the best.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah,
but you just said it's not emotional.
I'm saying like that's not they're going for jokes. Like it's a comedy and that fits the idea of Space Jam and Looney Tunes. I don't want the Looney Tunes out here making a serious, emotional, heartfelt movie. I'm sorry, I just don't. And actually,
you can do both.
You can do
both.
What I will.
That's just lazy.
Is that Looney Tunes though? Like and I'll say this. I think, and even as a kid, I felt this way. One of my only complaints about the first Space Jam movie as a kid was that it didn't feel like it was Looney Tunes enough. Like it didn't feel like the heart of it. And one of the things I did appreciate in this movie is especially early on where there were moments where I'm like, that's like straight out of a classic like Looney Tunes cartoon.
I agree with
and
that.
I think they went away from that a little bit in the end of it. And it really like made me notice and appreciate how much I liked it in the beginning.
Yeah.
And how much it was missing like towards the middle and end of this movie.
So let me ask you this. What was your favorite part about this movie without spoilers? What was your favorite spoiler-free part? Because I'm sure your favorite part was the spoiler-heavy part, right? Probably for all three of us.
You know, I think my favorite part of this movie was like if I had to point to a scene, it probably was the like getting the band back together scenes. Like where they have to go get all the characters, which again I'm kind
of quick.
Well, I thought that part was paced really, really well too. Especially again, you've mentioned this, but I did think the third act was a little long, and I think part of the reason that third act felt so long was because the first like flew. It was moving.
Which
the movie was really moving
because they gave LeBron smaller scenes. And he's leading this movie, right? I have trouble picturing myself watching this ever again. Even if it's on TV, I said this off camera. Even if it's on TV, I don't see, I'll just stay for this scene, right? Like, what scene am I really trying to stay around and watch? That's
kind of true.
That's kind of how I feel about it. Whereas in Space Jam, if I'm walking through Walmart and the TV aisle, there's Space Jam is playing.
Yeah, that's always
I'm going to sit there for a second and watch it, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm not even the biggest Space Jam fan.
That's nostalgia. Yeah, how much of that is because of the quality of the movie and how much of it is nostalgia? Like,
but he ain't watch it a ton growing up like we did as much.
You know, but
you know what? Maybe that's the issue. Go back and rewatch it, and then come back and tell me if that's a fair comparison.
It's like watching Blade Runner, then going to Blade Runner 2049. Nope, wrong comparison. All right, do you guys want to say anything else before we score this? Jesse, why don't you go ahead first?
It's tough. Like Patrick said, it's a new movie. It's a new Space Jam. I feel like all the effects were great, and I thought it was cool how they had, like you said, I don't know if it caught it on the video, but the IP, it just felt like a Warner Brothers IP.
Yeah. Oh, question before, not to cut you off.
Yeah.
I feel like, this isn't really spoiler, there's a lot of Warner Brothers properties in watching this basketball game. Did it not feel like they were just like glamorized posters? They didn't do anything.
I wish they would have did. Right.
Yes and no. On the one hand, like yes, they are glamorized posters. On the other hand, if they do too much, I feel like that's distracting, and that's a line you have to hit.
Yeah.
In fact, and I will since we're on the topic, I honestly feel like and I'm not the first person to point this out, I'm sure. It is kind of ironic that the beginning of the movie opens with LeBron being like, that's a stupid idea. Like, you can't put me in all this stuff. And then they went ahead and did it.
Yeah.
And then and again, this movie really could have been like an advertisement for HBO Max, except kind of the point of the movie is like
poking fun at that.
It's poking fun,
but
hey,
also,
get out of here.
Just because you're self-aware doesn't mean that's good.
No. I'm saying from a corporate strategy standpoint, why did you include that if you were going to in the beginning of the movie be like, oh, this is bad, and then we're gonna do it,
and then just throw it all in the background for the most part. I mean, it's front and center when you're trapped, without spoilers, when you're going throughout the different universes or whatever planets, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like that specifically was another one of those Warner Brothers being Warner Brothers thing and missing the point altogether. But that's
what are you talking? Warner Brothers is our favorite studio. Try to get screeners here. All right. So do you want to go ahead and score it, Jess?
I'm gonna give it. Do you guys do point?
We don't do
nope.
All
right. Whole numbers.
Yeah, right.
I do in my head, but not when we're on the podcast.
As of now, first showing. It might change. It'll probably only go up a little bit if I change my mind on it. Right now, 6.
6 out of 10?
Okay.
Yeah.
Not bad.
And for the kids,
Yeah, right.
Okay. Omar?
Well, It's going to be a little lower than 6. I don't see myself watching this again, but there was enough funny jokes in there that I could, if I have kids one day, I wouldn't be embarrassed to show them this, I suppose. Right. So I think I'm kind of right with Jess, where I'd give it a 6. It was just enjoyable enough that it wasn't like meh for me, you know? So I'd give it a 6.
That's fair.
Just don't expect any type of good acting in this.
Oh, man. Yeah.
From any of the characters. Good.
Can you kick him that way? I'm waffling between a 7 and an 8. I think the pacing of the third act is enough for me to put it at a 7. But I thought that the jokes were funny. I thought that the beginning of the movie was paced really well. The acting wasn't an issue for me. I liked the like bright lights and visuals, and I thought that some of that was cool. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that like me as basketball nerd kind of appreciates is that like it does like I can kind of follow the basketball as it's happening. Like it makes a little bit more sense, and I like that they put that level of detail in there. But yeah, overall,
LeBron is producing it. You know, he's got court vision, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I think I'm gonna give it a 7. Yeah.
Can I go back?
Go ahead.
All right. So about the LeBron acting thing. You said it earlier too about Michael, and sometimes you just know it's not him, but they did a lot more where you know it's not LeBron. I feel like, and that tough dad thing, like, you know, he's not like that. He's not like that with nobody. Yeah, so that was hard to believe. He was like, "No, you must," and it just really seemed forced and.
It felt like he was doing like a Will Smith TikTok skit. Does that make sense? Or does he on TikTok, Instagram?
I'm sure Will does.
Are you hating on Will Smith or TikTok?
No,
or like
it's fine. Well,
Omar's just out here with shots.
It's fine because Will Smith is doing it for TikTok. It just felt like LeBron was doing this for like an ad. But I've seen him act better in ads. But we're not gonna get back into that.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say before we take it out then?
No. Go ahead. Take
Jesse,
us out.
want to take us out?
I don't know how to take it out on
Thanks
here.
for tuning in, guys. We've got unprofessional. Sorry, we've got a news podcast coming next week. A recommendation show coming Monday. So make sure you stay tuned for that.
All right. We'll see you then.
See you.